Hello and welcome back to another episode of Chatting with Chip with Barton College football head coach Chip Hester. I am Wilson Times sports editor Paul Durham. And coach, here we are on another bright, shiny Tuesday morning from your office at the Barton football headquarters. But it's anything but bright and shiny for the Bulldogs right now. You guys have lost your fourth straight. A very disappointing 34-0 loss to number 13 Lenoir-Rhyne on Saturday here at Truist Stadium. And coach, let's just go into it. I think we talked after the game. It's almost too much to look at everything and try to figure out how to fix everything that went wrong on Saturday. Individually, I guess it's sort of maybe just a overhaul. Where are you guys at as you go into this week of practice?
Well, I think the thing that comes to mind, and you've heard Nick Saban say it a million times, is it needs to be about the process. And so, yeah, it's frustrating. It's discouraging, and all those things. Losing is no fun for anyone involved or on the outside looking in. So it is miserable. But if you're winning all these games, you really can't look at your record. You can't look at the schedule ahead or behind or whatever the case may be. You've got to focus on how do you get better? How do you do things the right way all the time? And so I've challenged our football team to do that this week, to practice the right way. And you know, I think they need to be all in. If they're not all in, you know, we'll put them on the sideline. But I think our guys will come and fight this week. You know, it's no fun. It's no fun, and it's not easy. But sometimes in life you deal with adversity, and you can do two things. You can shut it down and quit, or you can learn from it and try to get through it and fight your way through it. And I think we've got fighters on this football team and competitors. And I think we'll get a great effort out of them this week.
Well, I mean, let's not mince words, Coach. A lot of problems that you guys had started and ended with Lenoir-Rhyne on Saturday. They are now number 12 in the country in NCAA Division II. Obviously, look, I don't have to tell you that. You coached at Catawba for many years. I'm sure the words Lenoir-Rhyne are not considered polite language in the Hester household. Right. They are certainly, in the last decade, probably the marquee team in the South Atlantic Conference. I think that their account of the game said they were 12-0 all the time. So it goes back all the way to the 50s or 40s, I think. Just a word on where Lenoir-Rhyne is and what you guys have learned from 3 straight losses to them starting in the spring of 2021.
Yeah, they've won a ton of football games over the last century. They're a good football program. They've done a really good job. I think we've talked about Wingate before as a program that we need to try to emulate a little bit, and Lenoir-Rhyne's the same way. They've got a great stadium. They've got great players, great coaching staff, and they've got consistency. And so they're tough. And if you're not playing your best, and I don't think we were on offense or on defense, then you're going to get beat. And you know, I think, you know, we lost some guys to injury, and I think that hurt. But I don't know that it would have made any difference. I thought they played really solid in all aspects. I think defensively, they're a challenge to cover because they run the ball well, they pass the ball well. They had over 200 yards in each facet. Then on offense for us, we couldn't get anything going and couldn't sustain drives, and especially in the red zone again. We came away empty a couple times. You know, we're just not built to come from behind right now. We're not at that point. And so, you know, Wingate's a great example. They were playing Limestone last week. They get down 21-0. And actually they're down 21-0 against Limestone in the fourth quarter, find a way to come back and win. And so, you know, in this league, you've got to have depth that's ready to go, that's ready to come in and roll on, and then you've got to have some balance, and you got to be able to take something away. And we just weren't able to do that on Saturday, and what that ends up being is a frustrating day if you're playing against a really good football team.
Yeah, and Lenoir-Rhyne's a really good football team, and Newberry's a really good football team, and I think you see that. But I could be wrong, but unlike at Division I, where Alabama, the difference is the Jimmies and the Joes as much as the X's and O's. It's not really so much X's and O's at this level; it's execution.
Got it.
Lenoir-Rhyne execute. I think I mentioned to you; they're very similar in doing what you guys like to do offensively. But man, they were sharp and crisp and. Things happen. Is there anything to be gained from, looking at the film of another team? I know you're looking at your own mistakes and the guys, but hey, look, they don't do the same things, but man, they ran it right.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's very clear. Coach Jacobs outcoached Coach Hester. He was a better coach. His team played better, executed better, and so they whipped us. They completely whipped us in every phase of the game. And that's frustrating. And yes, we do. Paul, we look at every game they've played this year. I watch every single snap that they have. So we study every team we play. We do that for every team. And so there's a lot to learn. I think they do a really good job. I think you've nailed it. Their execution is on point. They've got depth. So they played multiple. They played 4 defensive ends. They played 4 defensive tackles. They roll in the secondary, so they keep guys fresh, and they just have a really good football team. And so I've got to do better. I've got to find a way to make our guys more efficient, and so that falls on my shoulders, and I accept it. It's not good enough, and we've got to get better.
Well, certainly right now, I think your job is certainly a cheerleader because the guys are kind of down, it seems like, and that's what losing does. And, as a coach, you've got to be everything. You've got to be mother, father, coach, and cheerleader, too, to get them going. So how are things going so far at practice this week?
I thought we had our best Monday practice of the year. And, we challenged our guys, and I think I let them know we need guys that are all in, that aren't going to quit, that aren't going to give up, and I think our guys responded really well, and so I feel good about that. We've got great young men, we really do, and we're all a work in progress. I'm a work in progress, but we've got some outstanding young people, and we've got some guys that are banged up. They're trying to get better and get back into the mix, but yeah, look, this is, and we've talked about it many times. This league is tough. It's very tough, and as you look back and you look at last year's games and match them with this year's games, besides the Davidson game, we've lost to the teams that we lost to last year, and the order is different. So it feels much worse, but we've got to make another step, and we're just not there, and that's squarely on my shoulders. I've got to find ways to get us better and to let us take that next step, because we have not. Now, the tough part is when you get momentum going against you. How can you switch that momentum? And it's not easy because coming again this week, you got Wingate, who we beat last year as a ranked team, and they are the #1 defense in the whole nation. So it's not going to get easier for us, but we've got to find a way to compete. And how does that happen? That happens with our defense finding ways to create turnovers. We haven't created turnovers the last couple weeks, and then we've got to find ways to put some points on the board. We've got to find some ways to get a little bit of an edge and execute a little bit better in the red zone, which we just haven't.
Yeah, I think, Coach, you can point to turnover. I mean, not turnovers, but injuries, obviously, as a big reason. But that doesn't change anything for the guys who have to go out there. A more tangible thing is, like you said, y'all have not been able to get the turnovers that you need. And when you do get them, your offense has been giving the ball away a lot more than you did last year. That is a huge difference from last year. And, you guys were #1 in D2 in turnover ratio average. That's not happening so far this year. Hey, but the good news is, like you said, you guys have lost to the teams you lost to last year. If you follow suit, you're going to end up 6-5. And while if you had said beginning of the season another 6-5, might not have been what you wanted, but at this point, that'd be a great end to the season because it means you'd win 4 straight to close out. Starting with this Saturday at Wingate, let's talk a little bit about those Bulldogs You guys upset them last year over here in overtime when they were number 8. Sort of started a downward spiral for them last year. I'm sure they've marked this day on the calendar since last year.
I'm sure it was a really big win for our program last year, and so you and I talked about it before the season started, and I said, we're not going to sneak up on any teams this year. There is not one team that's going to treat us lightly or consider us an easy win, and so we're getting everyone's full attention, and obviously we'll get Wingate's full attention because of the upset last year, and I think regardless of that, how it was last year, they're a team that's got their back to the wall a little bit. They've got one loss in the conference to Emory-Henry, which was a big upset again, but they've played really well, and especially on defense, they are playing lights out. And when you're number one, I was, again watching all their tape, I'm going, man, they're pretty good. And then I go to the stats. They're number 1 in the league, and so then I go to the NCAA stats. They're number 1 in the whole country. So no one's playing defense any better, and that's a challenge. Who knows? We haven't got any final word on our quarterback situation and whether Jaquan will be ready to roll. But Tyler Flippin's, it's a big opportunity for him, and we've got a lot of confidence in what he brings to the table. It's a different skill set than Jaquan, and so we're going to have to find ways as offensive coaches to put him in a great situation and kind of take advantage of some of his strengths.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Obviously, with Jaquan Lynch going down in the first half Saturday, and Tyler Flippin coming in to sort of got to go the rest of the way, I guess you're at the point now where you kind of have to prepare for both guys being available. Obviously, Jaquan's been the starter. If he's healthy, I guess he's going to go out there. But if he's not, you guys have got to practice both ways. Is that an additional burden or kind of just what y'all do?
Well, right. You've got to prepare for either one. And obviously when you've got a starter, you kind of have the main game plan going towards that starter, but Jaquan has been tough as nails. He's been hurting and has not been able to practice much at all the last 3 weeks. This is a new injury, and he's hurting right now. So I don't know that I feel great about him playing on Saturday. And so we've got to prepare for Flippin being our starter, and we'll if something changes, we'll be ready for that. I think we know what our base plays are with Jaquan, but we've got to find stuff that Flippin feels really good about, and that he can execute. And again, he brings a great skill set. He can run. He's got a strong arm, and he's a great leader for our football team.
Yeah, absolutely. He can definitely run that ball. He's a little bit different runner than Jaquan, but they're usually going to take 2 or 3 to bring Tyler down. He's a big guy running that ball. But Coach, I think, and you can elaborate or disagree or however you want to react to this, but it looks to me like the biggest problem with your offense is just consistency. Y'all have shown the ability to do things at times. You've shown the ability to run the ball well with Jordan Terrell. He's having quietly another good year, great year. But at times he's been shut down. Certainly got shut down on Saturday. The passing game at times has flourished, other times not so much. Downfield passing has, at times been a big thing, haven't been much. You really just need to be able to find that sort of consistency where what you want to do is what you're able to do.
Absolutely. We had a couple opportunities to make big plays down the field and didn't complete those couple plays, and so that you're exactly right. You've got to complete some of those. I think you're dead on when you say that we're not as consistent as we need to be, and consistency is a big part of football. If you might average a certain amount on runs, but if you're getting zeros or minus yards on first down, it puts you out of rhythm, and so then you're having to go into your pass play playbook section and try to get big chunks, and we need more consistency. So we need consistent gains, 4 or 5 yard clips, and now you're in 2nd and medium, and then you're in 3rd and short. and then you can run it or pass it, and that's when we're going to be at our best. And part of that is creating those things, is hitting on some of those deeper plays down the field so that you keep safeties honest, and that again allows you to run the ball with consistency that you need. So yeah, I think you've nailed it. That is lacking right now in our football team. You know, we do some really good things on offense and on defense, but we don't do it consistently enough. And again, that's on me. I've got to find ways to practice and get our guys to perform with more consistency.
Yeah, those second and 4 is a lot better than second and 9 or first and 15 if you go backwards. Well, Coach, I appreciate you sitting in for another week of Chatting with Chip. We're going to be back next week. We'll talk about the Wingate game, and then looming on the horizon, Catawba finally gets to come here to play your old team that has been, you guys were supposed to play here the first year, and COVID kind of got in the way. They never came, so they'll be coming here the following Saturday. So meet with us again next week on Chatting with Chip.